Hi, folks. Thanks for taking the time to come and check out my content. For those of you new to my channel, my name is Robert. I live in Florida, and about 2 weeks ago now, or exactly 2 weeks ago now, was being threatened with Hurricane Dorian. And living in Tampa, I was concerned, obviously, about this hurricane. So I was trying to stay up to date with the weather reports and the path of the storm. And at this time, the storm was a Category 4 or 5, the second most powerful storm recorded in the Atlantic, and it had stalled over the Bahamas. And this is going to take a second to show you, okay? But it's critical, I think, that um, the the number one proof that seems to be the globe, since they can't prove spin and curvature, is these NASA images and these images that we get from other space agencies. We can pretty much sum up that space isn't what they tell us simply because we have a pressurized atmosphere existing next to a vacuum. But this is another, I don't know, I probably have two or three more topics that I want to cover on the space thing unless they give me more. Um, it's not really a question. It's just a lot of people keep on regurgitating these space agencies as if they are some kind of fact. And hopefully this will open you up to the idea that it's not at all what it seems. They give us these essentially movie productions, claim that they're fact, and well, anyway, let me go ahead and get on with this so I don't waste your time. And once again, my video editing hasn't gotten there yet, so I'm trying something a little different. I think I've almost figured out OBS, so hopefully before too long I'll have an opportunity to do maybe some live streams or some hangouts or something like that. But let me see, and I'll show you guys a lot of people accuse of being in a cult. And, if I am in a cult, we're simply trying to get people to wake up and think for themselves and not appeal to someone else to do their thinking for them. So let me show you this, an honest breakdown when I first discovered this, and we'll see how much the views and stuff have increased. Now, as I go through this, let me see, apologize. Okay, as I go through this, this is going to be the original clip that I ran across, and you'll be able to see from the number of views, there's been almost 200,000 views since then. But was my original impression on it. This is probably the second time I've watched it. I've watched it many times since then, but this first part is almost at full speed. Then I'm going to go into the day before this, or a couple days before this, and show you, highlight what we're being told. And then I'm going to give you a slow breakdown of this clip right here, and then compare what we see in this clip when it's a Category 4 or 5 back to when it's back to a Category 2 or 3 storm. So just to give you a basis of comparison. Anyway, let me go ahead and do this, and we'll get the ball rolling here. Like I said, this is only had 67,000 views. It's got over 250,000 now, I believe. It's supposed to be the International Space Station, right? Flying over Hurricane Dorian. What's the problem? You see the hurricane moving in all this time? So hurricanes just sit there. They're so fucking retarded. You see this? You're not even looking. You don't even care. Here in a second, I'll show you a couple brief clips at the end of this first part here with this storm on the ground and on weather radars was looking like. And then we'll get a close-up view of this. Now, I apologize in advance to all the NASA fanboys. It's time to wake up. Of course, most of NASA's videos have the comments disabled because they're not in the business of truth. And some of these other clips, when I give a breakdown of this particular thing that you're seeing, I'm letting it roll at full speed. I break it down so you can actually see what you're looking at. And you be the judge. I'm not making a claim. This is something that I noticed. I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate in the comments, but, you know, we can either believe the lie, a comfortable lie, or wake up to an uncomfortable truth. You know, this is what it looks like, right? This particular storm. This is what it looks like on the ground. Keep in mind, it had a sustained winds of 180 miles an hour with gusts up to 220 miles an hour. Okay, so we're good on our first clip here. Let me go ahead and roll with this and show you what I'm looking here for. And if I ever figure out editing, my production will be a lot better, but you know, the truth isn't necessarily meant to be entertaining. So okay, showing you I'm going to the NASA website. That was actually recorded last night.
Starting to get some good views now from the International Space Station. We should be able to maintain these views throughout the duration of our pass over Hurricane Dorian.
This is to remind you of the story that we're being fed.
Space Station, 262 statute miles over the Midwest right now. We are expected to see the hurricane in just about 2 minutes or so from now. Some of the latest status reports of Hurricane Dorian itself can be found at the National Hurricane Center. Head over to hurricanes.gov, that's hurricanes plural, to find out the latest updates on the hurricane. The latest ones we are tracking now are from 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central. At that time, the National Hurricane Center reported Hurricane Dorian as a Category 2, maxing out at wind speeds of about 110 miles per hour. This is just shy of a Category 3 hurricane. Again, the hurricane itself 255 miles east of the Bahamas now. Hurricane itself traveling at about 10 miles per hour, pretty slow, but on a northwestern track to make landfall with the United States, specifically the coast of Florida, as predictions show now. That landfall expected sometime over the evening of Monday night, Labor Day, into the early morning of Tuesday. Again, these reports from 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central. Predictions now expect Hurricane Dorian to become a major hurricane later today, and will expect it to become very dangerous throughout this weekend. Again, landfall right now is predicted to be late on Labor Day Monday or early Tuesday. It will likely be over Florida as what's now predicted to be a Category 4 hurricane, where winds can max out at about 140 miles per hour. Hurricane force winds are also expected to affect the Bahamas, as well as heavy rains over the Bahamas, Florida, and elsewhere in the southeastern United States this week through the middle of next week. Again, we're coming to you live from the International Space Station. These views from the external high-definition
All clips
cameras,
being used in this video are being used under fair use for educational purposes. I don't really see where I need to say that since NASA's been robbing our taxpayers for years, but just in case. And also, you can go and verify this for yourself. That was the intent, was to get you to look for yourself, right? We can argue moon landings that happened, you know, all that time ago and never prove anything. This is a couple
Crew
weeks
aboard the
ago.
International Space Station ending
Let's listen to
their
their
days
bullshit.
a bit early, headed for an extended weekend off after supporting the rendezvous of the Soyuz MS-14 and some of the other dynamic operations that have occurred over the last week. Some of those astronauts in free time, some of them exercising. Some of them may be in the cupola, which is the bay window on the Earth-facing side of the International Space Station. From the cupola, they'll have great views of Hurricane Dorian, which seems to be poking into view right now. You can follow these astronauts on Twitter. Drew Morgan, Nick Hague, and Christina Cook may be tweeting pictures over the weekend as they get good passes of Hurricane Dorian. International Space Station 262 statute miles over the east coast of Georgia, now about to pass over the Atlantic Ocean. The space station itself traveling at 17,500 miles per hour.
Never mind that the hurricane appears to be moving as a layer over the other stuff. Yeah, you better cut the camera.
From some of these views, you can see the Bahamas. Again, the Bahamas are expected to be affected by Hurricane Dorian over the weekend. And predictions now estimate a landfall Monday night. Space station now just east over the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Florida. We're seeing some of the eye from some of the high-definition cameras on the outside of the space station. The eye of Dorian. Again, the space station currently tracking west of the storm. Updates from just about an hour and 20 minutes ago from the National Hurricane Center reported Dorian.
Okay, now I want you to start to pay attention to the
to increase
motion of the storm as he gets closer here, as the ISS gets closer. I should just say as they zoom in on their show. Keep in mind, he said this is a category 2.
Very clear from this view. Space Station 261 statute miles just east off the coast of some of the northern islands of the Bahamas. Formation of the eye of the Category 2 Hurricane Dorian becoming very clear.
This part right here was more to highlight the claim of the ISS. And
Moscow, this is Alexander on Space Ground 2. How do you read me? Read you loud and clear, Alexander.
When you see my cursor, what I'm doing is highlighting movement or an area to pay attention to. If you watch this or go to the actual NASA YouTube channel, you can slow it down, blow it up, and look at it for yourself.
261 statute miles just east off the coast of some of the central islands of the Bahamas, now passing almost directly over the eye of the Category 2 Dorian hurricane. Again, reports from the National Hurricane Center reported Hurricane Dorian as a Category 2 from 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central. Speeds maxing out at about 110 miles an hour.
You can see the clouds kind of morphing as you would expect in this kind of rotation.
Dorian traveling at a northwest track at about 10 miles per hour. Predictions now put it at landfall over the eastern coast of Florida sometime late Monday, Labor Day night into early Tuesday. International Space Station now passing south over Hurricane Dorian, 261 statute miles right over the Turks and Caicos Islands. Again, from that vantage point of about 261 statute miles from the International Space Station. astronauts on board can see just about 1,000 miles in any given direction from end to end, about a 2,000-mile spread from that vantage point, 260 miles up.
This isn't the most exciting video you'll ever watch, but how you can believe this is, as they say, after this, you're just not using critical thought.
Again, these views are live. The International Space Station, 261 statute miles over the eastern coast of the Dominican Republic right now, traveling 17,500 miles per hour just south of the storm, Hurricane Dorian.
Okay, in a second here, I'm going to go back to 8 minutes, just before 8 minutes of this video, and highlight something, because you can't really see it. They understand about the human brain only being able to pay attention to so much at one time. And so they're very clever with their camera angles, the rotation of things and stuff. But if you look at this, we'll go ahead and slow this down. And it'll become much more clear as you look at these clouds. Okay, and I really didn't. This is kind of what you would expect, movement and rotation. Not a whole lot because of their supposed altitude, right? You wouldn't be able to see things that clear. It would have to move quite a bit. But if you look at it in slow motion, you can clearly see movement, even though it's not a crystal clear picture on this shot. But you can clearly see counterclockwise type rotation right in here. You can see the clouds getting, the gaps getting thicker and thinner. Just a little bit of movement there, right? A little bit of rotation. See, right to the right of my cursor there, you can see it rotating up. Keep in mind, he said it was a Category 2 storm with the winds just over 100 miles an hour. Okay, and I'm almost ready for the next clip. Now this next one, because it does take a little bit longer, I went ahead and put some music behind it. If you don't care for the music, you can go ahead and turn it down. Just figured it'd be a little more entertaining. Hopefully get people to watch this video in its entirety. I've noticed on a lot of my content, people seem to drop off after a few minutes like they've already know what I'm discussing. And I really don't see how you can watch 10 minutes of something and then leave a comment on an hour-long video and think you know what was being discussed. You're just defending a position, which in itself is really cultish behavior. It's tantamount to the religions of the past calling people heretics for daring to question the narrative. It's really bizarre. But you can clearly see there's movement, right? There, not much. I mean, it seems to be a little odd in some places. The movement doesn't seem to fit exactly. But not the intent of this to be hypercritical about what I think you should see. The point of this first clip here was to show the movement. You can actually see it. All right. Okay, now let's go ahead and go on with this second clip here. Let me get over here where I need to be, and let's check this out. All right. Okay, so the September 1st now has over 200,000. And I'm going to go ahead and compare apples to apples by slowing this down to 25%. And I hope you enjoy what I'm about to highlight. This first part that I circle up here, from way back in the beginning of this, you'll notice that these clouds and these formations don't change the entire time. This is what I first noticed. And this, like the other one, was broadcast live. So once they have made this mistake, I don't think they have the opportunity to correct it. It's like someone forgot to hit play on their CGI. Look at this. See these little area right here and that right there? Once again, the storm at this point, sustained winds of 180 miles an hour. almost twice as fast as the other clip that we saw. Absolutely zero movement. You guys see this? This top part in the upper right of your screen, to me it looks like they put a monkey up there. I don't know. That's how they look at us, hairless monkeys. Look for yourself. Outside of the hurricane appearing to move as a layer over the surface, you see any rotation at all? What I'm pointing out right there is what appears to be a mask, like the ISS is being run over the top of a green screen. There's the face. Didn't change the whole time. Go back and watch it. Or those little puffy round clouds right there. Anyway, I'll shut up and let you enjoy this. Somebody in NASA's animation department's going to lose their job over this one. Okay, and as you heard in the first one with the NASA guy talking, these cameras are remotely controlled from Houston. Right here I'm highlighting that leading edge. Also in this bottom part where the girders or whatever, look at the image in between it. but these are supposed to be just the ISS flying over the hurricane, but if you look at where they cut, it's a production. See, here comes the eye into view. Watch where they do these scene transitions. This is a production, folks. This isn't reality. Look at those more wispy clouds down there. They look like they're moving at 180 miles an hour with gusts at 220. You seen anything move in this hurricane at all? Now here in a second, there is a brief moment where it looks like there was a very limited layer of animation. It's coming up here in a second. Sorry about that. Now watch this scene cut. This is fantastic. Ask yourself, what's causing all this metal on the ISS to oxidize? When watched at full speed, this is real subtle. But when you see it slowed down, it's such an obvious production. Watch his transition. Okay. Okay, so in that entire time, you didn't see any movement in the storm. Let me go ahead and right here I'm highlighting this edge. If you watch it on a big enough monitor, you'll be able to see what appears to be a mask right there on that leading edge. It's a distortion of the image, which I don't see in reality why there would be one. Okay, so let's go ahead and go on to this next clip here, and this will be the one of the final ones. Now, let me show you during this time. This is an hour time lapse that I captured right around the same time. Like I said, I was really concerned with the storm because at this point they didn't know where it was going. And if it had continued going the way it was and not turned north, it would have headed straight for me. So I was a little concerned. All right, so let me show you this one more. This is what an hour looked like during the storm, during the clip that you just saw. All right, now let me go ahead and show you this, and we should be able to finish this up. Okay, so this is 4 days after the storm. The storm had dropped down quite a bit in intensity. I'm not sure what happened to their high definition cameras at this point, but look at the motion in this storm. Something's not right. That's all I gotta say. It's up to each of us to discern for ourselves and stop appealing to authority and these people thinking that they have our best interest at heart. They're deceivers. They're lying to you. This is not where we live. We don't live on a ball. If these were real images, why would you ever have to fake any of them? Right? Why would you broadcast them live as fact? Anyway, enjoy this last little bit here, and I'll give a couple closing, and we'll be done. Thanks for watching. I'm highlighting the look for the motion in the clouds. Look at the clouds morphing and compare them to what you just saw. No need to discuss the moon landings when they're actively engaged in fraud. See the clouds in these outer bands changing, rotating. And of course, Houston, adjust the camera so they can see our great CGI. Not. But for the naysayers, they wanted to show some motion. Now look at these bands. We'll see the movement. They're putting a voodoo trick on you, folks. It's an illusion. They've lulled us into a coma of complacency. It's time to wake the fuck up. I also slowed it down to 25% speed to compare apples to apples. I'm not attempting to mislead anyone, just trying to highlight something I saw. And if you can't see it, I don't know what to tell you. What happened to their high definition cameras? See the rotation? Rotation right above the eye. So how can a storm rotate half as strong and remain perfectly still? Like they want us to see it, folks. It really is. Look at this. Just simply isn't reality, folks. See? I'm pretty sure, yep, that was it. So I'm going to go ahead and just close this out. I know it's been long. But the reality is, if you go and look at any high altitude balloon footage, done by people such as Dwayne Kellum and others, you can see that the horizon is flat. And regardless of the altitude we ascend to, it appears to rise to eye level. Okay? It's not a point of debate, right? If the horizon on the ground, for instance, a ship at the ocean, is disappearing from the hull up from 3-4 miles out, then as you rose in altitude, that horizon, if it was the curve of a globular Earth, would remain fixed in that point, and as you ascended, you would have to look down over the curve. Okay, in reality, it's what we see here in this picture, remains level and rises to eye level. So anyway, I hope you got the point of this. I've got another one that I'm going to be doing on these on this space hoax that we have going on, and highlighting some more trickery that we're doing. I promise I'll make it a little bit shorter. But thanks for watching. It's time to wake up, folks, and make it a great day.